What is up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for this video because not only are we going to be doing our first celebrity transformation, but this video is inspired by Aaliyah's Try Again music video, one of my favorite music videos of all time. The look is so iconic, from the makeup to the outfit, the dancing, everything. I love this video so much, and I knew automatically that my first celebrity transformation was going to be inspired by that music video. So yes, we are going to be transforming ourselves into baby girls, so let's go ahead and jump right in. This video is sponsored by WigEncounters. They provided the hair for this tutorial, so thank you so much to them for sending over this super cute wavy wig. I'm going to be leaving all the information for this wig down below in the description box. So as always, I'm going to start off with the hair. I do need to pluck this frontal, so I'm going to go ahead and do that first. I'm just using some tweezers to do this. I'm actually going to be plucking a lot of hair off of this frontal because the hairline on the wig is completely different from my natural hairline, so I'm trying to get it closer to what my natural hairline looks like. So I'm going to be plucking quite a bit of this, especially towards like the widow's peak. So I'm going to do that first and just make sure to move the tweezer around as I'm plucking so I'm not like creating any bald spots. So I did do the bald cap method off camera. I actually messed up on my bald cap while I was doing it, so I was like, you know what, we're just gonna go ahead and skip that part. You guys have seen me do the bald cap method a million times anyways. I'm sure everyone's like an expert by now. So I'm just gonna start securing this wig down using my Got To Be hairspray. The lace is already cut down because I actually was gonna do a different look with this wig. So I had it styled and everything like that for a previous video. I installed it and like cut off all the lace and everything like that, but then I decided, you know what, I'm gonna use this wig for our Aaliyah transformation. So I'm just going to use that Got To Be hairspray to secure this wig down. Just make sure to have it all the way dried down before you move on to the next section. So this right here is actually a clip from the previous video that I recorded for this wig. That's why you see like a weird curl in the middle of my forehead. So, but I did want to show you guys this part because I did add some layers into this hair, and I feel like that made like a huge difference in like the way that the style kind of came out. I pretty much just took a section of the hair and I pulled it all forward, and I basically used my razor comb to create like light layers at the front. I just wanted to show you guys that part because there are going to be like some layers towards like the front of the face. So I wanted to show you guys like how I got them. So now that we've got our wig installed, I'm going to start styling everything. I'm going to create a middle part because of course Aaliyah had her middle part in this music video. So I'm going to section that off, and then using my hot comb, I'm just going to make sure everything is really flat. Like I want this hair to be super flat. So I'm really going to take my time and just make sure that part is nice and flat. Then right after, I'm going to go in with a little bit of cream foundation. This is one from Ruby Kisses. I actually use this on my wig cap when I'm doing my bald cap method. And I'm going to go in with just a tiny bit of that and add it to the part just to kind of make it blend into the like lace at the front a little bit better, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm only using a little bit, not too much. And I'm also going to add some baby hairs. Now, Aaliyah didn't have any baby hairs in her hairstyle, but I definitely wanted to add some because this lace is a little bit darker than my skin tone. So just to kind of make it blend a little bit better, if that makes sense, I just thought it would be a good idea to add some baby hairs. So I'm going to use a mixture of the Isoplus wrapping foam as well as the Got To Be ultra glued gel. And I'm using the one in the black tube. I'm only using a small, I'm kidding you not, like the smallest amount of these two things. The wrapping foam is basically just to get the hair like in the direction that I want it to go, and then the gel I use to kind of tame any hairs that aren't like forming into like the style that I want, like that need like a little bit of extra hold. So that's the reason why I'm using both of them, but I'm only going to use a small amount of these. You definitely don't want to use a lot of product because you don't want the product to kind of seep into the lace and like get on your wig cap and have everything like lifting everywhere. I've definitely had that issue in the past before, so I noticed that the less product you use, the better. Of course, Aaliyah had super sleek, straight hair in her video, so that's what we're going to be doing with our wig. I'm going to bring out my flat iron and just make sure to really like press the hair out. I want this hair to be like as straight as possible. So I'm going to detangle all of the sections first, and then using my rat tail comb, I'm going to push that into the section and just have my flat iron follow right along after my rat tail comb. I feel like doing that just helps me like get the hair like as straight as possible. Once I get back to like the lace part area, area, I'm going to use my hot comb again and go over like all of the roots, make sure that everything is really flat and nice and straight and there's no like bumps anywhere. We want to make sure everything like is perfect and like sleek and like on point for this hair. I'm so in love with this wig. There's so much movement in the hair, like even after straightening. I'm definitely going to be adding this into like my everyday wig arsenal. Like I have a little collection of wigs that are mostly like natural black colors, like this one that I like to use for like everyday looks and like outfit pictures and stuff like that. So this one's definitely getting added to that collection. I could totally see myself using this on like a regular basis. There's very little shedding too, which was amazing. And yeah, I'm just totally in love with the way that this hair came out. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about this hair, definitely check the description box. I'm going to be leaving all of the information down below. And then for the final touch, I'm going to use my Got To Be hairspray again and just go over those spots that we see, like those little flyaways, press those down and just make sure that they're not like sticking up anywhere. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the hair. Let's go ahead and move on to the makeup. So moving on to the makeup, I'm going to start off priming my eyes using the Morphe Fluidity Concealer in 3.55. I'm going to use this to carve underneath my brows, and I'm also going to add a little bit onto the outer portion of the eyelid, so that way the eye makeup in that area blends in a lot easier into the foundation when we apply that later on. Then next, I'm going to use a little bit of Bperfect's eyeshadow eye priming base, and I'm going to add that to the lid. I always like to add this to like the inner portion of the eye to really keep that area nice and bright, and it just adds like a little bit of extra security for those eyeshadows that we add onto the crease. So the first shadow that I'm going to be going into is from Melkior Cosmetics, and I'm going to be using their single shadow in the shade Anthracite. This is a really deep like bluish gray. I'm going to start adding this onto the crease and winging it out towards the outer corner. We are going to be doing a really like blown out like eye look towards like the outer corner and everything. So as I'm applying my shades, I'm going to make sure to slowly like gradually pull all of those colors outward. Then next, I'm going to go into the shade Black Moon from Raine, and I'm using this shadow to basically just deepen up the crease and make sure it's nice and dark. I wanted to use that dark gray first so it's easier for me to blend in the black. I feel like when you go straight in with the black, it's a little bit harder to kind of like blend out and everything like that. It can be really difficult. So having that gray underneath is just making it a little bit easier to blend everything later on. I'm then going to go into the shade Captive Gray, which is also from Melkior Cosmetics, and I'm going to use this on the edges to start blending everything out. Before, I was using a Morphe M507, which is a lot more tapered and kind of like pointier. Now I'm using a Morphe M506, which is slightly larger to get a like softer blend. Before I go into my next shadow, I want to add a little bit of translucent powder to the brow bone area and set that so the eyeshadow that I apply next goes on a lot more smoothly and this blend is a lot like softer. So I'm going to use a fluffy brush to apply that, and then I'll go in with my last transition color, also from Melkior Cosmetics, but this one is in the shade, I think, Soft Gray? Yes, Soft Gray. And again, I'm using a Morphe M506, and I'm just using really light pressure to blend out the very edges of our eye look. And again, I'm really making sure to really take that eyeshadow outwards and wing it out towards the outer corner. Aaliyah had like a super pulled out like outer corner, so I want to make sure to replicate that. And as I'm blending, I'm also going back into those shades Black Moon from Raine and Captive Gray, which is the second gray that we use, to re-intensify those colors where they're needed. I'm going to go back in with a little bit of the Bperfect eyeshadow priming base and add that to the lid space. Before I apply my lid shadow, I'm going to add just a small amount onto the lid because we don't need a whole lot. I'm not going to be doing a super like intense cut crease. I want the edges to be really soft and blended. Then for the lid, I'm going to be using another Raine shadow. This one is in the shade Flashing Lights, and oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with this shadow. It's so beautiful. It's literally like the shiniest silver shadow I've ever seen in my entire life. It's so pretty, and it goes on so smoothly. It's a really beautiful shadow. I'm kind of mad that I haven't like used this like in the past, but so I'm going to add that onto the lid right after using a flat brush. Then for my liner, I'm going to be using the Melt Cosmetics Ultra Matte Gel Liner in the shade Immortal. This is just your basic like black eyeliner, but I'm in love with this formula. This is definitely like one of my favorite gel liners. I'm going to do the outer portion of the eyeliner first, like towards like the outer corner, and then I'll drag that back into like the inner corner. She definitely had like a wing towards like the inner corner of the eye. I'm going to put like my own little twist to it because I have a completely different eye shape than she has. I still want to keep everything like, you know, flattering towards like my eye shape and stuff. So it's not going to look exactly like her makeup, but I am going to do my best to replicate it as best as possible. And just to make things a little bit easier, I used a much smaller eyeliner brush for the inner corner, so that way I get that really nice precision. Then going back in with that Morphe Fluidity concealer, same concealer that we used to carve underneath the brows, I'm going to add a very small amount of that onto the lower lash line to prime that area as well. Then right after, I'm going to start blacking out that waterline, and for that I'm going to use a Japanesque Velvet Touch eyeliner in the shade Black. As I'm applying this, I'm really like taking my time and making sure that there's no like little empty spaces. We want no skin peeking through. We just want a completely like blacked out waterline. Then to set that eyeliner that we just applied, I'm going to go back in with that shade Black Moon from Colored Raine and start adding that to the lower lash line. Then to smoke that out, I'm going to go back in with that shade Anthracite, which is our darkest gray that we used on the crease, and I'm going to add that to the lower lash line as well. I'm going to do a little bit of cleaning up next, again with that Morphe Fluidity concealer, and I'm only going to use this on the outer corner of our eyeliner, so I'm not taking it like all the way across like that eyeshadow that we just applied. I just want to clean up like that outer portion there. And I'm also going to use a little bit on the inner corner wing to make sure that it's nice and sharp. Going in with a little bit of liquid liner, also from Melt Cosmetics. I'm just going to touch up any areas that need a little bit of extra help. It's way much easier to get like a super precise like winged liner with a liquid liner. So I'm just basically using this to touch up any areas that need it. Then for a little bit of extra glow on the lid, I'm going to be using the Stila Diamond Dust liquid lipstick. I was going to say liquid lipstick. I'm going to be using the Stila liquid eyeshadow in the shade Diamond Dust, and I'm going to add that to the very center of the lid and just spread that out using a flat eyeshadow brush. Then for mascara, I'm using Lancome's Hypnose Drama Mascara. I've been really liking this one. It definitely gives the lashes like an insane amount of volume. So I'm going to add a few coats of that onto the lower lashes as well as the top lashes before I go in with my falsies. And the false lashes that I'm using today are from Lily Lashes. These are in the style Carmel. I'm also going to use the Lily Lashes black lash glue. That way I don't have to worry about touching up the lash band with like extra eyeliner. But that pretty much completes the eyes, guys. I'm so happy with the way that they came out. I was super nervous because I really wanted to make sure that I get this right. I feel like we got it really close, but it still has like my twist to it, if that makes sense. So I'm really proud of like the way that they came out. So yeah, definitely feeling myself. But now we're going to go ahead and move on to skin. I'm first going to prep the skin using the Farsali Skin Tune Blur. I am loving this stuff. It's definitely one of my favorite primers. I'm going to use that on all the areas where I typically have a little bit of extra texture. So around the mouth area as well as the cheeks. And then to help control like my oily spots, I'm going to use the Farsali Liquid Powder. I typically get oily on the forehead, the nose, and also the cheeks as well. So I'm going to use that serum just on those areas. Then for foundation, I'm using Milani's Cream to Powder foundation. Oh my gosh, this foundation is definitely like super nostalgic for me. I think this is one of the first foundations that I used when I was in high school. I remember I used to be obsessed with this foundation. I used to use the shade Spiced Almond. Today I'm using the shade Amber. I was way more tan like back in the day, like in high school, because I actually like went outside and did stuff. But I was super obsessed with this foundation. It just gave like the skin like this super smooth, like full coverage look. I really hope that one day they expand the shade range of this foundation because I totally use this for foundation, like contouring, bronzing, and everything. Anyways, so once I'm done adding foundation, I'm going to move on to concealer. The concealer that I'm using is from Fenty Beauty, and this is their Pro Filter concealer in the shade 350. I'm using this new highlighting technique that I've been seeing online where you just highlight the inner corner of like your under eye, like right underneath your outer corner, and the like essential areas like your cupid's bow, your chin, and like the sides of the mouth. And I've been really liking the way that this looks. I think it's just perfect. It's like the perfect amount of concealer, and like the placement is really spot on. Like it's exactly where you need it. So I'm going to add my concealer in those spots and just make sure to blend it out using a brush, and then I'll go over everything using my sponge to really make sure everything is nice and blended in. Then for a little bit of extra brightness, I'm going to use the Urban Decay Stay Naked concealer in 50WY, and this one is definitely a lot lighter than my natural skin tone, but it has a really nice bright yellow undertone to it, so it's going to work great if you're doing like that extra brightening on the inner corner. Then to set all of that concealer in place, I'm using Dermablend's Loose Setting Powder. This is their original one, and using a damp sponge, I'm going to start setting the under eye area, and I'm basically just going to pat that in until the powder completely disappears. I'm not like baking or anything like that. Well, actually, I am going to be baking like the bridge of the nose and the sides of the nose, but for like the under eye area and like the chin and everywhere else, I'm just going to pat that in. Then to bronze / contour, I'm going to be using one of my favorite products. This is the Black Radiance True Complexion Contouring Palette in the shade medium to dark. I'm going to take a mixture of the two like sculpting and contouring shades, and I'm going to use that to warm up the skin. So I'm adding that onto the forehead, the cheekbones, a little bit on the nose, and just a small amount on the jawline. Then for blush, I'm using the Anastasia Blush Trio in the shade Peachy Love. And I'm going to take the shade all the way on the left. This is like a pinky peach type of color. And I'm going to pop that onto the cheeks. I'm not going to use a whole lot of blush. It didn't look like Aaliyah was using a whole lot of blush in her video. I think she may have had like a little bit of color, but nothing like too intense. You guys know I've been loving blush, so I got to add just a little bit. Then next, I'm going to go in with the Beauty Bakery Milk and Honey highlighting palette, and taking that like orangey type of highlighter shade, I'm going to use that to highlight the nose. I'm going to add that to the bridge, the tip, and the sides of the nose. Oh, I forgot, I also added some onto the brow bone. Just a little bit though, nothing too crazy. Next up is brows. I'm using the LA Girl Shady Brow Pencil in the shade Medium Brown. In my last tutorial, I mentioned that I actually used this pencil by accident. I meant to go in with a darker color, but this one's a little bit lighter than the one that I normally use, and I actually like it a lot better, so I'm using it again today. Eric is the makeup artist behind Aaliyah's like look for this music video. His brow looks on Aaliyah were way ahead of his time. If you look at Aaliyah's brows, they're definitely like brows that you would see nowadays. They were super ahead of his time. So I definitely wanted to add like a little bit of something onto the brows. Nothing too crazy though, because she doesn't have like a super intense brow, but you can tell that he always like took care of her brows and everything. So I definitely wanted to, you know, take my time with my brows and really pencil everything in, and to make sure there's no like sparse areas and that everything is really even. Going back into the contouring shade from our Black Radiance palette, I'm going to use that to create those little faux beauty marks. Like Aaliyah definitely had like a beauty mark like on her cheek, as well as like one on her forehead. I don't know if they're like actually beauty marks that she naturally has, but they were definitely in the music video. I thought they were super cute, so I definitely wanted to add those. So I'm just going to dot a little bit of that contouring powder on the same places where she had her beauty marks. Then finally, I'm going to add my lip colors and everything. I'm going to start off lining the lips using two lip pencils from MAC Cosmetics. I'm using these shades Cork and Chestnut. I'm going to use Cork first to line, and then Chestnut to do like extra detail work. And then for my liquid lipstick, I'm using one from L'Oreal. This is in the shade Sweet Tooth. This is like one of my favorite like liquid lipsticks right now. I use this all the time, but I'm gonna add that to the center of the lips, blot, and then I'll blend in using a brush and my finger. I'm so happy baby girl had a gloss on her lips for this look, so I'm going to be adding a lip gloss as well. We're using the Milani Keep It Full lip gloss in the shade Gold Dust. And that pretty much completes this look, guys. I'm so happy with the way that this transformation came out. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, don't forget to let me know down below in the comments. Don't forget that all the information for this hair is going to be down below in the description box. Thank you so much for watching. I love you, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.